Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and to this series of converting the P51 to RC. So this was supposed to be a happy chapter because it was supposed to be kind of the final one, the tissue covering and kind of having the completed thing already basically done. But I did a bit of a run up. I wanted to try to make sure that all the control surfaces actually work, and when I did it, and actually they did work more or less, but then when I went to try the ailerons, then a strange sound came, I think out of the right wing. I'm going to try to reproduce it. Let's see if you can guess what it is. If not, I'll tell you because I already figured it out. Wait for it. I don't know if you managed to capture that, but basically what I think has happened, I'm pretty sure it's happened. We've got here the ailerons. This is the left aileron. Let's see if you can see it. So I can actually move it, right? So I can adjust it by hand. Then of course I need to put it also with the servo tester. But this other one, which is on the right wing, it's completely jammed. So what I think has happened is that for whatever reason, the gear wheels inside the servo, they've stripped, and they're basically the servo is toast, so I can't use it anymore. So what I have to do now, I have to figure out if I have another servo. I'm a little bit annoyed because actually I did spend quite some money on these small servos. They weren't the cheap ones. I went to the shop and I actually got them, and they were, I would say, not cheap, not expensive either, but not cheap. And I wanted to have them light, so now I'm going to see if I can find another servo, kind of any other servo is okay. I'm not going to go for the expensive ones now, and switch it out and then go on with the tissue covering. Maybe I will do some kind of test. I'm thinking actually now if I can identify which is the servo that is actually giving the problem, which I think is I believe it's this one. So let me pull it out. I have it on what channel? On channel 1. Is it possible? And then on channel 5 then I have the other one. Let's see, I can't remember now. I'm going to try to pull it out. Maybe now here with you. So I've pulled channel 1 out. I'm going to try to connect again the battery that I don't know where I've left. Here it is. Let's see if it does it again. Okay, so now it's not whining. I do have the transmitter on, so actually we can do a bit of the test. Then you see a little bit of the movement. So let's see the propeller, the motor, the engine. Okay, it's moving. I'm not going to go too far on it because there's a prop spinner on it and it's heavy and probably not balanced, and I don't want to rip the engine mount apart. It already came off once, right? So I don't want to do it again. Let's go for the elevator. Let's see the movement on that. Up is quite good, actually, very good. Down, it's twisting the whole fuselage. I don't know if you can see it, but I might need to put some, I have thought of that also. Might need to put some reinforcements on the rear fuselage because it's, other than weight, but as you see, it's quite heavy on it. Rudder, I think, is also okay. Quite a lot of throw on it, like a lot of throw. And aileron, not uns, but aileron. Yeah, probably need them to align it a little bit. See if I can do it manually, I'm not sure. No. What am I doing? I'm not sure what I'm doing. Okay, it's on, so I will need to align it manually. But it is working, right? So control surfaces are working except the right aileron. I need to switch out the servo. I need to reinforce the rear part of the fuselage so that it doesn't twist itself too much. And I need to switch out a servo and then do the tissue. So it might not be the last chapter. I'll try to squeeze it in, but it might not be the last chapter. Follow me with this one. The fun continues, and everything that goes wrong, that can go wrong, goes wrong. So I've already turned the Mustang on its side, and I can show you a bit of the progress. I've got two fronts open at the moment. I'm starting to put a bit of planking here, I've got some strips of 1.5mm left, so I'm kind of combining them. I intend to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll see what it looks like, if it'll need more or not. And then on the wing, I've tried to kind of surgically extract the servo that's burnt out. I've peeled up a bit of the tissue. I tried to put some glue here, also some water glue, to see if it would stick to the rib, to make sure that somehow to keep the tension on the other base. And I've opened up the minimum. Then I've got to figure out, if I manage to do it, how to close it down that it has a minimum damage. And now what I've done, I've tied to the end of the servo here a little thread, and now the intention is to use the cable to thread this thread through the hole, then connect that thread to the new servo that I've only just tried. It's this one. It's a bigger one. I'm not going to spend more money on one of the expensive ones, and this is what I have lying around. And then basically I'll tie that thread to the connector and try to pull it through, and let's see if I manage to do it. The holes I did in the ribs are actually quite tight, so it might take some jiggling, but let's see if I can now at least try to extract the cable of the burnt servo without damaging anything. And I'm already stuck. Let's see, because the cable, the hole is somehow flat so that the connector fits. So it will be okay with the first hole because I can put it in manually, but what about the others? I can see it a little bit. This is going to take quite a bit of jiggling, I think. Pull on the other side. You can't see now. No, let's see if I do it like this, that you can see a little bit. So okay, so I've gone through the second rib, kind of pulling on the third rib, pulling on the cable and on the thread, and we are through, which is great. So now, ever so gently that I don't pull the whole thing off, I have to figure out how to undo this knot, as I say, without yeah, I've got to cut it, because actually I put it through the cables with the deliberate intention of being able to control it a little bit better. So let me put something on the end of the thread that I don't lose it. Let me find scissors so I don't knock you over, and I'm going to have to cut the thread. I have been a bit stingy on the thread, actually. I could have been a little bit more generous. So that thread is now loose. This then goes into the collection of connectors and cable, and probably I need to somehow mark the servo that it's fried. Might try then on the tester again just to make sure, but it can't see externally anything. Sometimes you can see that they're melted or something. Externally I can't see anything, but it's toast. And now the magic happens when I have to somehow put all this here. I still don't know what way I'm going to put the servo, one way or another. That's why I want to thread it through, connect it, and then see that it moves the opposite direction as the other servo. And I'm hoping that even if the servos are different, that I can still use them together. So now I'm going to thread this here through this. Tight. Might actually just stop recording because it's probably very tedious for you to watch me tie knots with my big fat fingers. Definitely also when I cut off the thread that I don't cut the cable. So I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see. more difficult because the way I tie the thread is not as convenient. See if I can kind of guesstimate where this is. I'm through the first one, the first rib, because that's easy, and through the second. This is when you know you don't want me to be your surgeon, right? Okay, we are through the second, and now I'm not sure how to force it through the third, because as the cable is bent I can't really control it. Anyhow, you can't see anything anyhow. I'm going to battle with this for a while. Might need to take it out and tie it better, but that's the concept. So, and an update on the changing of the servo before I close it up. So as you can see, I've managed to thread the wire through. I did that by sticking the thread to the very tip of the connector with some masking tape and then pulling it through. I did connect it and it is moving as it should be, like in line with the other one, like actually opposite as the other one. And now what I've removed the old servo, as I mentioned, and I've built around a little bit of things like some blocks of wood to which to stick the new servo to. I've also putting a little thing like a catch strip, I think it's called, just to make sure that the tissue has something to stick to, but the tissue of course has been cut. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of add some strips of tissue to this tissue so that they can then stick. So that's a bit of the next surgical, how to call it, surgical operation basically to close this wound up. And maybe before I do that I'll actually connect the aileron. I have to adjust the wire because it was of course for another servo, but I'm hoping I can use the same one. Then I close it up and then I go with fixing the stringers that I've broken. I've already broken a stringer here in the nose, down there, and doing other things, so it's a long one. I'll keep you posted. And I'm going to wrap up because you know this one is going to drag up for a very long time. I'll show you what I've been doing. So here's the patch of the servo. Still has a bit of the fold there, but I think we'll have to live with that one. I've done some corrections also to the tail wheel because it was spinning too much in one direction and not in the other. I'm not sure if you can see it actually. Let's see if you can. There, now it's a bit more straight. I've also tried to correct a little bit give a bit more movement, down movement to the elevator, which I'm not sure if it's working or not. I'm going to connect now the rod. And what else have I done? Then the other parts I've done it on the other side, on the top. Basically, I've put in some reinforcements, as you might be able to see here on the rear part of the fuselage. Still has to be sanded down because when I tissue it, it'll be visible. It's made out of scrap, so it's like multiple pieces. So it's a little bit messy. And I've also painted in I don't know if you can see it, the battery bay. I've painted it in a little bit, again a bit messy with green because that might not be covered completely when the battery cover is fully in place. I've also fixed a little bit cliff because his cockpit was a little bit loose, so I glued it, and I've got there some masking tape there to hold it. And what I can do now, I'm going to see if I can connect the battery, if I find the lead, where's the lead for the battery, and see if all the surfaces, including the ailerons, work more or less. So I hope you can see it. I don't know where to put you that it's a bit better to see. So let's go with motor up front, works, rudder here at the back, a lot of throw actually, and I do have it on the outer hole, but it's a lot of throw. Let's try aileron, no, elevator down. Still kind of twist the whole airplane down, right? But kind of hoping that it's enough throw. Maybe I should put more strength on it or reduce the rate, because I don't know if you can see it, but it twists the whole rear fuselage a little bit. And then up a lot of throw also. And then the ailerons left, right, not much movement, but hopefully enough, as both are moving and at speed. hopefully it should be enough. So that's it. Next step will be then eventually to do finally to do the tissue covering on the rear part of the actually on everything, on the whole part of the fuselage, and also the underside. The outlet of the oil scoop is a little bit of a challenge. I'm not sure how to do it, but I'll think about it. I'll paint probably also the propeller, the nose hub. I'll paint it even if it won't fly with it, because it's going to be too unstable. But coming along, so now the tissue part, but that'll be then next chapter, because this one, as I say, is already dragging on for too long. So as always, thank you everybody for following along and watching, and I'll see you next time.